Hello everybody and welcome to Roll Together RPG and to What the Heck. This is a slightly different version of What the Heck though. We are going to be talking about something that's, maybe slightly topical at the moment. My name is Josh. I'm going to be one of your hosts tonight. Let me introduce you to my other host who's going to explain exactly what it is we're going to be talking about.
Hello, I'm Chris. I use they, them pronouns. And yes, what the heck is the Discourse, apparently? So, where to begin? I'm not big on talking about politics in Magic, generally speaking, with friends back and forth, sure, but having a public opinion, who cares? However, recently, the Discourse has been a bit grim, a bit difficult, and Josh and I both discussed it and went, we have opinions on this that aren't necessarily being voiced anywhere else, and there's plenty of content creators having their say about this, so we thought we'd add our 2 cents to it. Now, obviously, if you disagree, that's totally fine. Pop in the comments, tell us you disagree, it's not a problem. But yeah, we're going to be talking for probably the next hour or so about how Universes Beyond is actually great. Basically, we'll go into more detail than that, but as a starting point, yes, they've just announced that next year there will be 7 Magic sets, which is a lot going directly into Standard, there's no question. And yes, they've announced that 4 of them will be Universes Beyond, one of which, as of the day of recording, is not official, but we've all seen vans driving around New York. Yes, there's more Universes Beyond than ever before. And it's franchises that some of which I like, some of which I don't like. I'll be quite frank. Yeah, that's not really the point. Point is that the message that's currently being put around by most content creators is that UB is bad. That it is bad for the game. It's having a bad effect on Magic. That a lot of very personal, subjective opinions on what is good or bad for Magic are being presented to the fan base as fact. And it really, really sucks, because taking some personal feelings out of it for a second, I don't care hugely whether I like something that's a UB product or not. I don't care hugely if I like something that's in a Magic universe world or not. I like Magic cards. I like playing Magic. It's pretty simple. Are there some UB products where I'm like, whoa, of course there are. Let's not kid ourselves. We're nerds. There are nerd fandoms that make me very excited to see in Magic. And there are also some that look at and go, okay, I guess. Here we go again. And that's okay too. The important thing is that UB is being positioned as this huge problem. Every comment on Reddit, every Blue Sky post, frankly, every movie title from every content creator is saying things like, is Magic cooked? Genuine title. The war over UB has been lost. Genuine title. Is UB ruining Magic? Another genuine title from yesterday, from a huge content creator. And we'll get into this a bit more in a second, but I think it's an angry reaction to something that in and of itself is not the cause of these problems. And it's in and of itself not the reason why some of the things they don't like about Magic are currently changing. It's a side effect, it's a very visible side effect of this. But to lump it all in one box and to then say, this is just bad, from someone who quite enjoys the game and who enjoys sharing the game with their children and has seen their children get super excited about playing Magic because of certain UB sets, in fact, most UB sets. It just sucks. Doesn't make me happy. How about you, Josh? I've talked quite a lot.
I will say that some of the titles that Chris has listed are, they do what they say on the tin. They are clickbait. They want people to click on them. When you watch some of those videos, they're not like fully negative about it. They sort of weigh out the pros and cons and all of that sort of stuff. So it's not saying that all of the content creators are being like super negative on it, because not all of them are. But there are some who are voicing more negative opinions than others. But my thoughts on Universes Beyond. See, my thought on the whole thing in general is that it's two streams that are getting mixed together. You've got the people that are complaining about Universes Beyond as a product, as, you know, I don't want Final Fantasy characters in my game, I don't want Fallout characters in my game, I don't want Doctor Who characters in my game. And then you've got another group of people that are saying, I don't want these things in standard, not so much because I don't want to face Spider-Man in standard, but more so because that then means there are now more sets coming out in a year for standard, which is going to make it harder to keep up with the ever rotating meta that is within standard. As quite a few people know that Commander is the most popular format that is played in Magic. That doesn't mean the other formats don't exist, and it doesn't mean that standard isn't still pushed by Magic, because if it wasn't, not all of the sets next year would be standard legal. So,
see, we disagree on this, and not in a huge way. This is an interesting discussion. Why are they pushing all these cards into standard? Like, from what we know, and while we are lucky, I mean, Josh plays Yu-Gi-Oh! What do you know about what they're doing behind the scenes at Yu-Gi-Oh? Nothing. Like, they don't say anything. What we know about Magic's behind the scenes, what Mark says on Blogatog, or what's posted to, it's called the Mothership by fans, but, you know, magicthegathering.com. It's not called that, but the website, the main website where they have a huge blog where they talk about all sorts of different things. From what we know from that, Commander-only product doesn't make them a lot of money, because it can't, because you're selling a full set, and once you've got that set, that's it. You don't buy any more product. Whereas booster packs, collector boosters, all the rest of it, you buy more to crack them to get the things that you want. They sell a lot more of that product. So why do they want to put these things into standard? So they can sell more product. And debatable about whether money is a good or bad thing. It's not a debate. Money is always a bad thing. It kills art. But money also means that the products that we like and the art that we like, as much as we can, exists more. You can try and be ethical in a state of capitalism. Everyone tries. But also, if you like a cool thing and you want more of the cool thing, if it doesn't make money, you won't get much more of the cool thing. Awful as that is the way the world works. So if they need to do things to make money, and if those things to make money mean that the game has more issues, especially around standard, I know that standard's the most popular in the offices at WotC, and I know that standard is the standard, and it's meant to be the standard, and they're really trying to push people back into standard at the moment, but they say that they do, but then everything that they do says that they really don't care that much, because actually a rotating format where people stop buying cards isn't great anymore. The idea that you should start in standard because it's easier to pick up and there are fewer cards to choose from, and that you'll be able to build a deck you can take to your game store. No, that's not how it works, and people know that. That is not how the game works anymore. You pick up cards because your friends have cards, and they're playing Commander because it is the most played format. There was a stat on, I think it was on the Mothership, not on Mark's, on Blogatog, but it's a ridiculously high number of people play Commander over playing Standard. It's crazy high, to the point where Commander is not just the most played format, it is the most played format over 50%. It is the format of Magic. If you're playing Magic with someone, you just say, let's play Magic, you're playing Commander. And
whenever you go up to somebody and say, like, Chris and I will come into chat, and it's like, do you want to play Magic later? And it's like, yeah, what commander do you want to bring?
Exactly. Because it is, I mean, especially for us, but this is statistically backed up. Once they do surveys and they release information about those surveys and they talk about them, and it feels like a lot of that information becomes a, yes, well, of course, your survey says that is what you wanted to say. They're not doctoring surveys to say what they want to say. Mark posted a whole article on Blogger less than a week ago about how he didn't want Magic to turn into Commander, how he hated it, how it was his dark night, his moment of, oh God, do I really want to keep doing this anymore? Undeniably, that office, the WotC head office, is desperate for Standard to be the thing people play. And pick 2, this whole new drafting system, which coincidentally works very well with a smaller set, which they desperately had to make for whatever reason. The Spider-Man production issues are not documented, but people can put 2 and 2 together. It's not difficult. The idea that pick 2 draft is for 4 people, the number of people you need to play Commander, how convenient. Maybe we'll do this instead of Commander, guys. Maybe we'll try something different. Please, God, try something different. Like, you can see their thought process. And yes, I understand people like to play Draft Unlimited. Those are a very small number of people, because who knows 8 people and has $450+ for a collector box? It's just not a thing anymore in the same way. And look, let's start getting into some of these points. It's worth it. UB is accused, Universes Beyond is accused of killing Friday Night Magic, which is go to play Standard in your game store on a Friday night. My game stores on Friday night don't fire, and it's because SpongeBob is in the game. I don't think that's why. I genuinely think the reason why Friday Night Magic has stopped being a thing in the way that it used to be is partly it needs a lot of people to fire, to work in the way that you want it to work. And also, more fundamentally, Arena exists. If you want to play Standard, you can pick up your phone and play Standard today, now, right now, if you want to. Like, I think it was Josh Lee Kwai I think it was yesterday's video. I'm not sure what
Josh Lee Kwai in their latest Command Zone video, where they're talking about the same topic that we're talking about now. They go into more of the statistics of different things to do with Universes Beyond and all that sort of stuff. But one of the things that Josh Lee Kwai said is that he has his sociable group that he goes and plays Commander with. They play Commander in the studio, I think once a month, he said in the video.
They play Commander over lunchtimes in that studio.
Yeah, but when it comes to like draft and all of that sort of stuff, which is stuff he likes doing, it's just more convenient to do it on Arena.
Yeah, because it's right there. Because you don't need 8 people. You don't need to suddenly get that magic number to draft, or that magic number to fire a limited draft. None of these things matter. If you just want to play casually with friends, everyone's got Commander decks because they're much easier to make than Standard decks to be competitive or to work. And I suppose the question is, like, it used to be, and this is pre me playing Magic, so there's a certain amount of received information here, that kitchen table Magic, i.e. the things people played at home, were when you bought a bunch of packs, shuffled the cards together, and just played with your friends. For me, kitchen table's always been Commander, because putting together a Commander deck, especially with secondary retail, is not difficult. And especially with precons, is supremely not difficult. The ability to get groups of friends together to play Commander is very possible and very easy. And one-on-one Commander is not a terrible game either. Like, it's not as good as 4-player Commander, but it's not a bad game. And I think WotC are starting to realize quite how much they are in the corner of Commander as our product. And yeah, did they try and use Spider-Man to desperately get people to play Standard? Of course they did. The people in the office really want that to happen. Did they invent an entirely new draft format to make that happen? Yes. Let's talk about the cards in Spider-Man too. Good example. Are a lot of them a very simple, easily grokkable mechanic? Yes. Yes, they are. Some of them are a bit repetitive. I'm not saying it's a perfect set by any stretch of the imagination, but you can play this easily in a pick 2 draft. It's not going to make the most exciting gameplay because you're always picking the same things. Other people who do lots of drafting have already said this. I think Loading Ready Run did a whole bit about how the pick 2 draft, while it works, that's great, it is very repetitive. Which the whole point of drafting is that it's not repetitive, so I can see why that's a problem. But it also means if you're playing for the first time, if you're 13 years old, which is the age range this game officially starts at, it might be a great thing. Why do you think they printed so many starter decks? This desperate attempt to get everyone to play starter singleton, starter multi-format, starter standard with people playing in that way. You can see what they were thinking. You can see what their design process was. And unfortunately, it's bounced up against the Magic community like a lead balloon. Just the enfranchised players didn't want this. The enfranchised players tend to be the ones who go online and comment. And now the whole Magic community that is online is going, Spider-Man is the thin end of the wedge, the thicker end of the existing wedge. Has already been a wedge for a long time that is going to ruin Magic. And I just think it's bollocks. Honestly, it feels like a sledgehammer argument. Like, let's go back a little bit. 2016. Fire design. We're designing for Commander. We are starting to design Magic that is fun, interactive, reactive, I think R was, and entertaining. I'm not sure what all the letters in Fire stood for. That was a move away from standard formats that easily interacted with themselves, and then that was it because they didn't need to. That was making cards for Commander. 2016 is also when they first started printing Commander decks that were awful, but were a starting point to getting this process going. Watsy's been moving towards this way of the game, this way of the entire multiverse of Magic being for quite some time. And in the process of doing that, they have made changes to how the game functions. I mean, when Throne of Eldraine came out, people were like, these cards are all broken. They're all too powerful. They were like, yeah, it's Fire design. We want people to pick these up and go, this card does a cool thing. Ooh, not, well, this works with these 4 other cards, maybe if I'm lucky and draw the ball. That's what they were working towards. They then pulled back a little bit for obvious reasons. It was a bit too much. I mean, so for example, that's when they had Brawl decks, which was the first time they tried to do like printed Commander decks. Like Throne of Eldraine was that's where Arcane Signet comes from. Like that was their first attempt at making things like this. And in that process, I think they started to realize that actually more people don't need that standard format to fire perfectly. They don't need these cards to be perfectly designed before they're out the gate. They want fun stuff to play with their family and friends. And it's no surprise that is the point from which UB starts to come into Magic. Commander product is sold on a grand scale. And also, as we know from Saffron Olive's excellent video on MTG Goldfish about the money side of this, that's the point when Magic really started to be the thing propping up Hasbro. Because in terms of money, and yes, root of all evil, still the reason why games exist. Magic Magic went from a small game played by a small number of people that was very hard to get into to a humongous multi-billion dollar game now, I think. Over the course of about 5-10 years, which is when Commander gained in popularity, these things are connected. It grew humongously with UB. UB is the highest selling thing they've ever done. These things are connected. As far as we can tell, and it is very hard to tell because numbers haven't been released, but if you compare the price of booster boxes, if you compare, I think a couple of stores have posted on Blue Sky about how their sales Spider-Man are going, they're not selling badly. They didn't get that sort of huge, all the Magic players bought all the product and had to wait for more to come in to sell it, Final Fantasy curve. They are still selling, but in slower, smaller numbers to new players who say, oh, Spider-Man, I'll have one of those. Is this a terrible thing? I mean, heaven forfend, do we think that Spider-Man, even though it's been absolutely trolled by everyone on the internet and is, not the world's craziest designed thing, if it outsells, I mean, Ether Drift it probably was, if it outsells the best in-universe set of the year, Age of Attorneys or Tarkir, I'm guessing, if it outsells that despite being the worst UB set of the year, I mean, that's a terrifying thought for players not like us, this entrenched group that are desperate for Magic to stay Magic. What does that say to them?
Exactly. My question to you about this, what if, how do we think, because I'll answer this question as well.
Okay.
We all know that there have been some potential issues with the digital side for the Spider-Man
potential. There were huge issues. They couldn't get the rights. They had to make up new card art. It was a disaster.
Basic. And what's it called? It's called Path of the
Omen. Paths.
There we go. Through that. What How do you think Spider-Man would have been received if it wasn't Spider-Man and it was just that set in paper? All of those characters that are on the Magic the Gathering, the arena side of things, if Spider-Man didn't exist and all of those cards were what were printed, all of the artwork
That's
from
a difficult
Arena...
one because it's really difficult because
I've made this comparison with you before. It's like people complain about Universes Beyond. You see a card like Vivi, which is incredibly broken in Standard, particularly. Yes. It's a very good commander as well. People complain because are they complaining because it's Vivi or because it's the effect? What if Vivi was Raul Zarek instead, one of the in-universe Magic people? Would people still complain?
We had that. We had Nardu.
Yeah, that would be the only thing, is that if it was Raul would have got banned pretty quickly if he had Vivi's effect.
No, because we don't know that. There's this huge conjecture that UB cards can't be banned, that they won't be banned because they're special and they're part of a big licensing deal, so they can't afford to risk it. There's no proof of that anywhere. They've already said they're probably going to ban Vivi in the next standard banning rotation because, let's face it, 'tis broken. They banned Nardu very quickly because it was modern. And because modern has a very limited pool of cards, they printed things directly into the very limited pool and then went shit. This is a very small pool. Standard's not a small pool anymore. And also, to be fair to Watsy, they said this might be an issue. We're not going to ban it immediately, so all the people who bought Vivis suddenly are like, I'm $400 out.
Yeah.
Because the value of a card that's popular in Standard is contingent entirely on its playability in Standard. The moment things go out of rotation in Standard that are only really popular in Standard because that's the way they work, their prices plummet.
Yeah.
So it's rather cruel to do that. And that's why they said if we do ban it, we're trying to ban with a less violent cadence, so you're not all constantly buying cards that are then worthless. Like, that was the argument they made. And I think that's also, like, yes, Vivi Cauldron is the most insane Standard deck and it wins things all the time. It didn't win the last Standard tour. Other decks did that were built desperately trying to stop Vivi Cauldron. Like, there's a meta that rotates perfectly fine if you're that kind of person who likes Standard. And if you're not that kind of person who likes Standard, then what kind of Standard do you like?
That's the thing.
I don't understand what they want.
That's one of the biggest complaints from Standard players, is because the number of sets that are coming out in such a short time span, the meta is going to shift so much, and it adds to the more. I know we said that Standard was a more limited pool than what Commander is. Obviously, it is.
It is, yes.
But that's just going to blow up that pool of cards, and we've got the Return to Lorwyn set, Lorwyn Eclipse coming out in January. Then you've got the Untitled Universes Beyond coming out in March, and then in April you've got another one coming out. So there's not even probably not even 4 weeks before two standard sets come out. Can you imagine how, I'm not a Standard player. I've played competitive Yu-Gi-Oh before, and that's a pain in the butt when a new set comes out, even though they spread that out quite a lot, because you have to learn all of the new cards and learn what the new combos are. And if you're not interested in those cards because you're not playing them, then that is a real ball ache. Can you imagine what that's going to be like for Standard people who have got to learn 200 plus cards from the Untitled Universes Beyond set, and then another 200 cards from the April set, the Strixhaven set?
I can totally understand that it sucks for them. Yeah. I can totally understand that it makes their format hard to play. But that's like saying that you're desperate, you get really cross when at, I don't know, Wimbledon you can't watch the croquet. It's just not the thing people are there for anymore. They're printing all these cards so that Commander players buy them. And they're printing them into Standard so they can print reams of them so more people buy them. The Warhammer precons, they cost an absolute fortune, and it still will have struggled to break even because every single person who wanted one got one, and that was it. Whereas if they can sell collector boosters at 10, 15 quid a pop, it's different. It's a completely different metric. They can put chase cards in these things. Spider-Man's got a chase Infinity Stone.
Yeah.
Like, their whole model is based around it's not really gambling, but kinda, and that they have to maintain that to make money. That's how their process works. Printing onto cardboard is cheap, but they've got to print a lot of stuff and sell a lot of stuff to keep bumping up Hasbro's bottom line, because at this point in time, that is their job. And I know it's crap. I hate the thought that without WotC bumping up Hasbro's bottom line, Hasbro goes under, therefore they're being forced to do as much as they possibly can. But they're also being given more resource to do whatever they possibly can. They're being pushed to do as much as they can with as little as possible, obviously. But it's no surprise that Chris Cox jumped from WotC's chairman to Hasbro's chairman. Of course he did. That's the important bit of the business.
Yeah.
The actual toy manufacture that Hasbro does isn't losing them money. I mean, the most money they've lost in the most recent times is from buying and selling E1 for billions and then selling it for millions. Idiots. But at the time, it probably seemed like a good idea. I'm not a corporate person. I don't understand it all. It sounds like they did something stupid and it didn't work out. If what they need for bottom line to go up, which is all these businesses care about, is print more Magic sets, then they're going to print more Magic sets.
Yeah.
If that fucks with standard, to a certain extent, the people in the building will go, this is a shame. I really like standard. But also the player base for standard compared to Commander, as far as we can tell from survey results, is not even a comparable anymore. Like, if you think that like Commander to standard is like big set, small set, they print Modern Horizons, and that's a fraction of standard players. Because it prints really powerful cards that Commander players like.
Yeah.
That everything is geared towards who they can sell the most things to. And to get cross about a business making a product that you like, making more of that product because they want to make more money, is shouting into a waterfall. You can't do anything about this, and your pleas on YouTube are not going to sway stockholders or shareholders. The only thing that will sway them is if you stop buying things. And I'm sorry, the you here is not you. It's not me. It's not you. It's not the person watching this video. It's hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of 13-year-old kids, of 17-year-old kids who see a Spider-Man on a packet and go, ooh. You can't stop them. And they've worked that out. That's why they're printing money.
Back to my original question. Original question. What would, just to get us back on track a little bit, this is going to be a waffly episode. We should have said that at the beginning.
Waffly? No.
If Spider-Man wasn't a set and it was this through the Omnium Path thing, whatever it's called, whatever it is,
not Omnium Path.
whatever it's called, whatever it's called on Arena. Yeah, whatever it is called on Arena, if that was what was printed on paper, would the reception to this set be as bad as what it is? Would it be like a more of a Ether Drift, or would it be more widely accepted? Is the question. Is it the fact that Spider-Man is on a card that is causing the problem, or?
All right, I've got two answers for you. The first answer is that if this wasn't a Spider-Man set, if it was the Through the Omnium Path set, what the fuck were the designers thinking? Random spider people all over the multiverse that don't really connect to each other? It doesn't make any sense. What's the story? It doesn't connect at all. That's the joke answer.
Yeah.
In terms of the real answer, I get that a lot of people are like, it doesn't feel like Magic, because Magic's a high fantasy game, right? Right? Ether Drift, wacky races, right? Phyrexia, modern horror.
I think when you mention it about it being high fantasy and stuff, I think we need to take out Aether Drift and Edge of Eternities and some of the more non-high fantasy sets that have come out in more recent years, because I don't know about anybody else and it's not been confirmed, but my assumption is Edge of Eternities was released as a test for Sci-Fi Universe versus Beyond. And what is the last Universes Beyond for next year? Star Trek.
I don't think it's a test. They work 2 to 3 years in advance. It won't have been a test. What it will have been is a good way to introduce some of the things they're going to do in Star Trek, so that Star Trek isn't all a crazy number of new keywords,
new mechanics and things. So it's
exactly.
like, there's probably not going to be many spaceships or space stations that we're going to see in the sets that come out. Maybe if Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is the Universe Beyond in March, we might get the Technodrome as a spaceship. Maybe.
Right.
But, having the gap between Edge of Eternities and Star Trek with the same sort of themes seems really good. Hey, look, we're going to return to this. You can now have the Enterprise that you can station, sort of thing.
I think it is fair to say that post UB's introduction to Magic as a whole, are there a lot of sets that have come out to make Universes Beyond's impact less felt? Because, well, Duskmourn's an 80s horror setting, therefore...
Duskmourn's another example as well, yeah. But less jarring is what I would go for.
Exactly. Sneakers and cheerleaders isn't so bad when we're going to New York next year. You see what I mean? Like, I can see how they might have done that, and I can appreciate that might be a good way to do that. But even back in Weatherlight, what part of high fantasy is sky ships where people are shooting guns?
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to get at. Is if you take those out from take the sets out from the last couple of years and go back to when the Phyrexians and the Eldrazi and all that first came into it, that's not quite high fantasy. I mean, obviously it is still fantasy, but that's more sci-fi fantasy from my look at it. As far as I'm post. I dabbled in Magic a little bit when I was younger. Didn't get into the story at all. Looked at a card, thought, "Oh, that's cool." Played it. I didn't get into Magic that much until pre-COVID.
Yeah.
What I see of Brothers War looks very high fantasy, steampunky, sort of meshed together. Is how I see that. Yeah, a
lot of the Dominaria stuff was always quite steampunky. Phyrexians are more like sort of diesel oil punk almost, and like modern Geiger-esque horror. Like, there's loads of elements to Magic, if you go back through the years, that are not exactly high fantasy. I think there was always a high fantastical element that you could draw it all back into, potentially. And it was easier to sort of shrug away the occasional thing because it was occasional. And I think it's fair to say that Universes Beyond has widened Magic scope significantly. There's no question. I don't think Kamigawa Neon Dynasty would have happened, which is Cyberpunk. I don't think that would have happened if they didn't know Universes Beyond was coming, for example. I'm pretty sure that those things are connected. Like the introduction of vehicles, quite useful for UB. So I imagine there are elements of that you can look at Universes Beyond and say, this is why. I'm pretty sure that even if Universes Beyond hadn't been a thing that was going to happen, they would still be leaning into new avenues, new stories, because they have to. They can't just keep saying, and Urza and Mishra keep punching their heads in until the end of time. Also, I mean, it's the elephant in the room. Magic's story is awful. They really want it to be good, and they've tried their damnedest in so many ways to make it good, but it's a disaster. If you compare it to Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, the other big TCGs that exist, they have their own TV shows, and those TV shows sold the product.
And tell the story, whereas Magic is solely within its own sort of bubble. I mean, I know they're talking about doing TV shows and movies, and I think they said that there's a book coming out next year as well. Yeah, and it's like, and there's been supplement books that have come out for D&D that are set within the Magic worlds, like Theros and Strixhaven as well, and all of those sorts of things. But it's always been contained within its own bubble. So the difference between the cards that you get for Magic and the cards that you get for Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Specifically is that the Magic cards have to tell a story, whereas Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon don't. There's another card game out there that is probably a really... what's the word I'm looking for? Really,
Deep Cut.
Deep Cut is a game called Card Fight Vanguard that had an anime. The anime was really good, but the anime was more about people playing, similar to Yu-Gi-Oh!, more about people dueling with their cards and stuff. And it had a little bit of otherworldly aspects to it where you learned about the creatures and things. But they told more of the story in the cards than what Yu-Gi-Oh! Did. and what Pokemon do. So that's the thing that I like about looking at Magic cards is I like looking at them and working out what the story is for them. More so for Universes Beyond because I know the stories for some of the Universes Beyond, especially Final Fantasy.
It's easier because Universes.
It's much easier because you know
Beyond
it.
They're for pre-existing things that have stories, and you're just seeing those stories regurgitated. But Josh, there are Magic story spotlight cards in adventures from the last 2-3 years that don't happen in the story because the card was designed before they hired the writer to write the story, who then got their bare bones story and went, cool, I'm going to write it now. And they went, oh, well, that doesn't really fit anymore. There's a bit during War of the Spark, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn with this one, I can't remember it exactly, where there's literally a shot of someone destroying the chain veil, which is a really important artifact. It doesn't happen in the story. It's not relevant. It's not even in the story. It's just a card that got developed during development, and they went, well, this happened in the story, and then it didn't. They went, oh, well.
There's one thing that a few people have spoken about, but I'm not seeing anybody go into real detail with the 7 sets that are coming out next year. The final in-universe set that comes out is called Reality Fracture. And there's been a couple of theories going on because we've not had any official news from WotC about what this set's going to be about. But there's been a couple of theories going around that this will be the set where it'll either be where they bring an end or bring it to a head the story that has been told throughout all of the other UB sets with what Jace is doing.
Not UB. In-universe sets.
In-universe, sorry. I mean, with Jace and with Nico Bolas coming back and all of that sort of stuff. That'll be like the end game moment, basically. The Avengers Endgame moment will be what that is. Other people have said that will be where we'll get this thing where everything comes into Magic and the characters from Magic will punch through the ceiling of their own universe and start appearing in Spider-Man and all that. That's another theory.
Not a chance.
One of the most popular things that is happening at the moment, and a lot of media things follow these trends when they start to become popular, is universal resets.
Yes, of course.
We've seen it with DC, even though it wasn't done like in a movie where they just reset it.
Sort of forced.
It was a forced reset. There's potential for it to happen in the new Avengers movies. Secret
It is going to happen in the new Avengers movies. They've already said.
Going off of those comic books, there will be a universal reset. The Arrowverse TV shows, they did the Crisis on Infinite Earth storylines, which was a reset. They brought everything together. That's the popular thing now. And with Magic now, similar to what happened with D&D over the past 10 years because of Critical Role, with it coming into the proper mainstream media now, to the point where they're starting to get mentioned in mainstream TV shows. They're now going, right, well, we can now start to... They're probably thinking, sorry, this is just assumptions on my part, they're probably thinking, right, well, let's streamline everything. Let's cut away all of the flaff that we've done over the years. Let's streamline it. Let's keep a normal set of characters. And then we'll build out back from there. Similar to when Disney bought Star Wars, they put pretty much everything into Legends, and they've been slowly drip feeding things. Star Wars is a reference I will make quite a lot during this video. They will slowly drip feed the stuff from Legends into their official canon. So what if Reality Fracture is a full slate wipe on the Magic story, and then the next in-universe sets that we get from beyond that start to reintroduce us to characters like Jace, Chandra, Nico Bolas, Liliana, Ajani, and all of that, and they get rid of the ones that were less popular. There is a red Planeswalker man who done something who was really horrible to his wolf or fox that he had that people were not very happy with. So,
oh my god,
they might get rid of. Sort of thing.
Yeah, what was his name?
I can't remember what his name was, but
it was Ikoria. The whole point of Ikoria was they were supposed to bond with their animal. He treats his animal like shit because the story was written by someone who doesn't like animals, apparently.
I mean, but that's the thing.
Possible. This is all entirely possible, but we don't know.
We don't know. But what if that is the
pure
thing?
Conjecture. It could be. It totally could be. But it could also be that this is just the end of the most recent arc that they've done, and then that arc will end, and then next year we'll get the start of a new arc. Like, I'm sure they would love to tie some... at some point there's going to be a Magic TV show. They've already talked about doing it. It's already been, I think it's been greenlit, so there's working on that behind the scenes. There's a Magic movie being worked on behind the scenes as well. I'm sure they would love these things to tie in together, and probably making a tie-in that locks is going to be a big part of making that work. But they work 2 to 3 years in advance. Movies and TV shows, I mean, with the best will in the world, they try to.
Well, they don't anymore. They used to.
No. So I don't think they're ever going to be in a position where they can go, we will have a set that at some point becomes the thing, the story that we tell. They're going to really struggle with that. Because in the end, that's not really the way that TV shows or frankly card games work. And having novels that tell stories, I think it's very telling that they're getting Seanan McGuire, who is a very talented author and who's written some of the Magic story, who's written a lot of very famous Magic novels, to write, not Magic novels, fantasy novels, but to write a new book about some of these lovely characters from the new sets that are introduced from Strixhaven, I think they are. And they're going to appear in Lorwyn. Group of 5 students, I think it is. I think that's the whole point of this, is sort of setting up the new starting point for new characters. If they're going to reset the entire universe, why would they bother? It makes no sense to do that. If they're going to potentially reset some of the sort of big universal messes that they've created that don't really tell a good story or make a huge amount of sense, if I'm honest, maybe. Is it more likely that what they're going to do is use this to trim the fat, to clear up some backstories, to remove some characters, to streamline down the Magic story? And then from next year onwards, they can be like, these are the main characters. Why? Because they're the main characters of the film. Shut up. Yeah. Because if they have main characters who not a lot happens to, but they're in every episode, and there's a little bit of story here, a little bit of story there, but it's not a huge amount of like trying to invest you in an ongoing story, because when the movie comes out and the TV show comes out, that's the ongoing story. That's where we want you to engage. When you say, hey, in the TV show, that Jace character seems like a right fella, you can go, cool, there's 5 Magic cards of him. Of the new one. Of the old one, there's 10, 15. But the new one. And I imagine it'll also stop more being Planeswalkers. Or if they are Planeswalkers, stop them being Planeswalkers on the card. If they desparked a ton of Planeswalkers because they're, in their own words, they can't be commanders.
Yeah, unless there's a rule that changes at some point.
No, they can't do it because there are too many old broken Planeswalkers. They say this can be your commander. Suddenly everyone plays Planeswalkers every time because it's the most powerful option. They can't do it, and they know it. Yeah, and the whole like, are the commander format panel going to change anything? I think it's become pretty evident very quickly that yes, there's a huge new format panel. We're going to develop new ways of everyone working with the game. You're going to talk about brackets, and then you're going to keep talking, and nothing's going to change. It's pretty evident that nothing's going to change. Oh, vehicles can now be your commander. Great. I mean, it's a cool thing. Don't get me wrong, but there are many other problems I'd love a format panel to be dealing with, and they're not going to. So, because it's not profitable or smart. The more complicated it is to engage in the game, the fewer people will.
My next question for you, moving back to Universes Beyond, because I steered us well off of there. Has there been, since you've been playing Magic, has there been any legendary creatures that you can have as a commander, which is all of them, but have there been any Universes Beyond ones that you've looked at and you specifically made the deck because of the picture on the card, not the effect?
Yes.
You've made the effect work with the deck that you're building?
Oh, no. Okay, that's a difficult one to answer because there are cards I have bought because I think the character's awesome, but then also the card is cool. If I think the character's awesome, I'll buy the card because the character's awesome, but I might not build a deck around it, or I might buy it and go, I'm going to sell this. Like, I like cards. I like to have a card and go, this is my card. I built a Deadpool deck because I like Deadpool. And I got the card and went, this is a really cool effect. I built a whole deck and went, this is the most horrific gameplay ever. I'm never going to play this deck because it's so mean. I'll keep Deadpool and put him in another deck. But like, yeah, this is just a fun thing that I did. I've done that for other UB cards, but that's how I build every commander. It doesn't matter if it's UB or not.
Well, no, I tend to go off of the, when I'm building the commander deck, I tend to look at the the effect of the creature when I'm reading it. I very rarely go off of the artwork, because with most cards you can get multiple artwork and multiple different versions of the art anyway. So I'm like, oh well, this effect seems cool. Can I make that work within this deck? There's only ever been one Universes Beyond card that I've gone, I don't like this effect, or I don't know how to make this effect work, but I'm going to get that card because it's my favorite character. And that was Squall from Final Fantasy. Squall, Seed Mercenary, particularly, is the card name. There is going to be no graphics on this episode, so you'll have to look him up. But Squall, Seed Mercenary, when he was previewed, I looked at him and I was like, how can I make him into a card? For one, he wasn't the colours that I thought he would have been. And his effect was completely different to what I had hoped it would be as a fan of Squall. It took me up until I got the card in my hand to actually think of a deck, and it's one of the only times that I've actually done proper research by watching other people's videos on ways to build the deck and like learning how to do it, because his effect isn't an effect that I would normally use personally as a commander. So but because Squall is my favorite Final Fantasy character, I had to make him as a deck. So that's the only one for me. I mean, I got Sam and Frodo, the Sam and Frodo pre-con, but that's because I wanted Lord of the Rings pre-con, and that was the first one I grabbed. So,
I mean, interestingly, like I said to you, like if Queen is a usable card, the trans icon that is Queen of Quen is going to be a commander I build. But it's a mono green token activator that works better in decks that are other tokens. So I have copies, I put them in other decks, but I can't build a deck around a mono green token activator. It would be repetitive of a bunch of other things that I've already got or I've played and don't like.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's difficult because also this is not, you and I are nearly 40. Well, I'm nearly 40. You're a bit younger than me, but
don't put that on me just yet. Jesus.
Well, I'm nearly 40. But I've seen my children build. Well, in one case get Super Saiyan, in the other case build a deck. In the other case, ask me to make an entire deck for him based on a character from a UB product because likes the UB product. That's the important thing. It doesn't matter that we're 30 something. Sorry, Josh. Because for us, we're entrenched players. We like it. It doesn't matter. But for an 11-year-old, his contact point to engage in a thing with his parent was the fact that Optimus Prime was a Magic card, and he thought that was cool.
Yeah, with my son, it was he plays decks. He has decks that he uses. He has his own decks that he uses. But when he saw Miles, Miles is his favorite Spider-Man character. Yeah, it's his favorite video game. It's who he likes to play in Spider-Man 2. He prefers the Miles Morales game over the original the other Spider-Man game out of the PS4, PS5 games. Yeah. So when he saw Miles Morales, he was like, I'd really like to get hold of that card. And yes, admittedly, I bought the card when it was on slightly the more expensive side of things, but that's because he wanted it and he used his pocket money to get it. And I was like, well, if you want it, I'll get. I know somebody who I can get it from, so that's what I did. And he's built an entire deck around it. He using his pocket money he's sending his pocket money to me so I can buy him the singles for it, because he doesn't want me in, I don't mean this in a nasty way, but he doesn't want me involved with him making the deck. He wants to make the deck himself and then present it to me and be like, this is the deck I've made. How do you think it's done as we're playing? And I love that. I've got a list of the cards that I'm going to buy. I'm going to buy them because age verification is a thing in the UK now, so he can't buy them. So I will buy them and he'll send me the money for them. Yeah. So, and then he will fill his deck out. So, and I just love the fact, and my daughter, who is under the age of 13, has asked to be taught how to play it. She might play it and might not like it, but it's just the fact that she's taken something that I'm interested in and gone, I would like to try that with you. One of my other sons wants to play it as well. Unfortunately, he has difficulty with reading. So
he'll struggle with Magic.
He'll struggle with Magic unless I'm literally sat next to him and playing with him. So we're trying to work out a way to play where me and him are controlling one commander deck and do a team game, and I'm playing with him. So, and I love that, the fact that Universes Beyond has allowed for that. Yes, it could have been something that could have been done with the children without Universes Beyond's inclusion in the thing.
It could have been, but it wasn't. And it's important that it wasn't, because otherwise people are never going to get this. Sorry to cut across yours, but I think it's relevant. My 2-year-old he's fucking 2. Like, this is not a child who's going to suddenly work out what magic is tomorrow. He's 2. The only superhero content he can really engage with, because the only thing that's made for his age group, is Spider-Man. And that's not to say that I forced it on him. My 11-year-old and I watched a Spider-Man movie, and the 2-year-old was coming through the room and went, Spider-Man. And he understands what Spider-Man is. All spiders are Spider-Man. And the Spider-Man kids show that Marvel put out, Disney put out in their brilliance, and they're correct to do this, has Gwen and Miles and Peter as a team that go and deal with, things around New York, and oftentimes it's Rhino doing something stupid because Rhino's an idiot. Also, weirdly, Armin Zola's a villain of that, but not as a Nazi eugenicist, as like a robot. It's freaking Disney. Anyway, but he's aware of it. He likes the show. So when I was looking at magic cards on my phone, he looked at it and went, Spider-Man. He's engaged. Engaged a child. And to engage a child, yes, sometimes they need to see something that they know and like and then get excited about it. And these are the people that you are shitting on when you say that UB kills my game.
Yeah.
These are the people that you are gatekeeping, and it is gatekeeping when you say that you don't want UB in your game. Imagine if that 13-year-old, 14-year-old goes with their parent to a game store to play, to meet other people, to try and take part of the community. And they sit down with their Miles Morales deck and someone says, UB, what the hell? That's a 14-year-old kid you've just shat on because you don't like that there are Spider-Men on your cards. That's nonsense. And look, I'm going to bring this back to a slightly more personal story. I think it's useful. I didn't engage with Magic about the same time that Josh did, because the friends I had who played Magic, and I say this with all love and respect, were assholes. And I know that's not everyone is not like this. I understand that there are some nice people who play Standard, but they weren't playing Commander. They were going, here is my Standard deck so I can carry it around in my pocket, and here's one you can play. It's shit, I'll win. No, thank you. Why would I play this? And for my money, Magic was a game where if you spent more money than the other person, you won the game. That was it. That was the game. That's how it worked.
That's what all trading card games where you've got a number of one single card you can have in a deck. Magic is 4, isn't it? And then Yu-Gi-Oh! It's 3. So if you can have a single copy of one card in, more than one copy of a card in there, then in my eyes, that's a pay-to-win game or format within that game.
Even if it's only singleton and like I've got the doubling season and you don't, like doubling seasons, maybe it's kind of been power crap these days, but you know what I mean? There are some cards that are so good that if you have it, you win, and that is true. Still a Commander. But Commander is a casual format. It's not necessarily about winning. Like, I mean, this is a longer conversation that would take forever to have, but I'm pretty convinced that Commander is so popular and so successful because Commander takes the hyper-competitiveness of Magic and turns it into a cozy game. You are wandering around your farm. It's what's it called? It's Stardew Valley for nerds. You are building your deck by wondering, this card would go really well in my deck. Is it going to be as good as a Swords to Plowshares? No, but I don't want to just win. I want to make my garden look as beautiful as possible. My Commander makes the game fun for people because you don't have to play the most optimal card. If you want to play the most optimal card, there are higher brackets for you. That's fine. But if you want to play something synergistic and a bit weird, there are brackets for you too. Before the bracket system, that was harder, but it was still obvious in terms of gameplay that we weren't sat down and smashing each other in the face with Urza Lord High Artificers, because there are good commanders. Everyone was playing Turgid and going, no one gets to play. Like, Magic is a game that, in its standard format, can be brutal and very hard to engage with and make it feel like you're just an outsider who's not allowed to get in, especially if you're not white, especially if you're not a man. It's gotten better. And I think Commander's a huge part of that because it's taken
100%.
hyper competitiveness out of Magic. And I think, frankly, a lot of this bullshit, a lot of this UB is killing my game. UB is fracturing the community. UB is destroying what makes Magic fun. No, UB is taking the white out of it. UB is taking the man out of it. UB is taking the asshole out of it. Like,
UB is what is making it fun for me. It's like I said before, it's allowing me to play with my children. And what I was getting to where you were getting to with that was, you can. Before Universes Beyond came out, if my children were the age they are now, and I was trying to teach them how to play Magic, they probably would have given it a go, but they wouldn't have been as invested in it because there's not characters that they know on the cards, and they're not going to go and learn the lore of the game or anything like that, So, I think Universes Beyond is great as a product. Are there some sets that I'm not overly keen or interested in buying? Of course there will be. Yeah. Will I still buy them if the cards have cool effects? Probably, because the cards have good effects. I don't care what artwork's on the card. If anything, I would be more prejudiced about who's in my command zone. If one of the secret layers that they've just announced is a Dwight card from The Office.
Sure.
If I was to get that secret lair, there is no way on hell or earth I am going to have him in my command zone because I've never watched The Office.
Oh, okay. If you have no engagement with the universe beyond, it makes sense that you wouldn't engage with it. Like, it's a secret lair. They're all altars. Like, no one's expecting you to.
Yeah.
Jaws is a mechanically unique card. Kratos is a mechanically unique card. All of the PlayStation secret lairs, everything else. These are all secret lairs. They're not full UB sets.
Yeah.
Like, they're not trying to squeeze a standard set out of Jaws, which would be incredibly difficult.
Not unless they went through all of the movies, and then it would have to be a very small, very
Jaws
small,
3.
even smaller than Assassin's Creed set.
Well, yes. But it doesn't matter. I don't give a toss about Hatsune Miku. I'm too old. I don't understand Hatsune Miku, and that's fine. But they've printed tons of secret lairs, and I know people who got into it because of Hatsune Miku. If they do K-pop Demon Hunters, oh my god. I mean, I'm a fan, but I know that there will be lots of people who go, K-pop Demon Hunters on cards, I'm buying them. Do you care what the game is? No. Will you start engaging with the game if you buy the cards? Maybe. It's enough.
Yeah.
It is more than enough. You've already sold the concept. Like, in terms of sales, WotC know that they have millions of people who play Magic globally. It's a humongous number. It's crazy high. And the surveys that they've done, people go, oh, I've not seen these surveys. Because they purposely don't just survey people like you. They're surveying people who aren't chronically online. They're surveying people who don't go to FNMs. They're surveying people who just bought a pack, and they're like, cool, we got your data because you bought a pack and you gave an email address to Just Buy or whatever. Please tell us what we can do to appeal to you more, because we want to appeal to everyone, not just this. Also, just to be clear about how small this group of people is, there is a survey that they did, and the number that they got to is the number of people who actively, strongly dislike UB to the point where they wouldn't buy cards is 9% of the player base.
9% of the people who did that survey, to be exact, to be precise.
Okay, but a survey done by a company about its sales planning, they are trying to get as much breadth as they can and be as accurate as they can. They're not tailoring this survey to get the answer that they want. They want to know who's buying. They have no reason to do that. Oh, to just disenfranchise the enfranchised player? No, there was no problem with that. You're enfranchised. They've got you. You're done. Unless you really want to step away, in which case, please stop bleating about it. Just step away. If you are 9% of the player base, that means that 91% of the player base either couldn't give less of a fuck or actively likes it. No
I actively like it.
Yeah, I actively like it too, because I like the way I like the conversations with my kids. I like the conversations in game stores.
How many hours do you think that you and I have spent when we've been on a call and we've played cards, or we've just finished a D&D recording, or just hanging out, whatever? How many hours do you think you and I have spent talking about some of our favourite UB they're not actually like our favorite IPs that we'd
that
like
we'd
to
love to
see
see
in
in
Magic, and then
Tons.
creating
Powers
cards for
and
them.
Elves.
I think the longest one that we've done was Soul
Soul
Calibur. So, and we spoke about that literally for, I mean, it was daylight when we started and it was dark when we finished. And it was like, are you going to make dinner? And we were both like, shit. Okay, yes, got to go.
Didn't
Bye.
realize you've been chatting for 3 hours about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. Not to get too political, and I don't want to get too political, but there is such a thing as a silent majority problem. And it exists everywhere. It is the concept that there are way, way, way more people whose reaction to any given issue is, I don't know or care. There are way, way, way more people that will respond to a given political issue with either I don't care or I don't know, or I'm actively pro this, than the very small number who are actively against, who go out on, who do something that we don't like and we see on the news.
Like a loud minority is what I like to call them.
They're called it's a silent majority and a vocal minority, is what they're called in political terms. And the vocal minority tend to be they're a minority, tend to be a small group. They tend to be convinced that everyone else thinks like them, and the people who don't think like them either don't exist or are wrong. But they tend to think that their vocal minority is much, much bigger. But then when they actually start talking to real people, they suddenly realize that actually most people just don't care.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason in the UK that parties like the BNP and Reform make a lot of headlines, say some splashy things about awful shit that I'm not going to repeat here. But when you actually interview and talk to people, they go, oh yeah, I saw that. Don't really care that much. Or I don't particularly like politician A, but I guess some people do care about that sort of thing. Silent majority is a very serious political issue because in a democracy, it's very hard to question the silent majority about what they want. They tend to be quite quiet.
Yeah.
So companies get this too. We want to sell to people. Tell us what you want. Oh, all the people who play a lot want this. But are they the people who buy all the stuff? No, sometimes they buy a lot of stuff. Like, I'm sure that 9% makes up a huge proportion of the amount of money spent on Magic cards, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But there are still 91% of people who are buying Spider-Man, who are very happy with it, who are having a great time playing it with their friends. And generally, I really think, I'm not sure if this will bear out yet, but if the best-selling Universes Beyond set is selling 200,000, was it 200 million? How much was it?
I think it's 200 million.
If they're doing that much on day one, there has never been an in-universe Magic set that has done that well because it doesn't have the same kind of appeal.
No, Universes Beyond is
that kind of appeal. They've got to work harder on the story. They've got to work harder on engaging people.
Yeah.
Their in-universe has to mean something. And if you are a standard player who is watching this and feeling quite cross and like they don't understand, they don't get it, if you want WotC to change, you not buying cards is the only thing they will understand. If what the outcome of this furore about Spider-Man is they go, maybe we should make sure we appeal more to our middle-of-the-road fans, maybe we should do more in-universe stuff. They're trying. They're greenlighting movies, they're greenlighting TV shows, they're paying someone to write a book. They're trying their best. But if that's not enough to make the thing that you love something that other people can love and you can share with them, that's where you need to force them to push. Not getting cross about Spider-Man or a Furby on a card.
Furby, I would like to say, out of all three of the Furby secret layers that have been released, none of them are mechanically unique. They are all reprints of cards. So if you don't want those cards, just use the original versions of them.
Okay, well, we haven't talked about this a lot, but there is a difference. Like, a lot of the standard sets, they're mechanically unique, and they're obviously not going to make quirky reprints. Like, the whole universe is within, we make reprints. People don't want them. Mark did a whole post about it saying, we tried doing it, no one bought them, no one engaged, so we're not going to bother.
Yeah, what's the point of doing the universes within? Somebody said about doing a Masters set or something, a Universe Masters set where they bring all of the Universes Beyond sets from a particular period and then they give them an in-universe thing and then sell them. They won't sell because you've already had the Universes Beyond stuff come out.
I think that's more of an argument about reprints, that some of these cards desperately need reprints, and then how are they going to reprint them? And genuinely, from a side point of someone with a bit more business nous here, because I have run a business like this at one point, good luck getting the rights back. You got the chance to print them once, and maybe you got the chance to print them once with the potential of a reprint, but you have to renegotiate the contract. It's going to cost you so much money, you are never going to do it. Universes Beyond cards, where they don't go back to the universe, where they don't get a chance to reprint them, they're going to be the really expensive chase cards in 10, 20 years, because they will never see a reprint, ever.
I do think at some point, and this is maybe 2027, maybe 2028, maybe even beyond that, I do think there will be a full set return to Warhammer.
Oh, 100%. There's no
100%.
Warhammer, I mean, also, Warhammer, they didn't fire their whole load, forgive the grotesqueness of that image. They had the ability to make 4 precons, and they did, and they're very good then when I say design precons. They didn't touch orcs. One of the most popular Warhammer tribes didn't even fucking touch them.
They bought out an orc. They bought out.
I know, I got it. It was great.
Yeah, that's the only one that they bought out. But there's loads of things. All the individual Space Marine chapters, the Eldar, the Dark Eldar. You've got the. I'm a massive Warhammer 40k fan, so I could go on about this forever. A better Mortarian card, a Typhus card. Typhus is my favorite evil character.
They won't do a better card. It's not worth their time. What they will do is they will do the bits they didn't get to, and they'll try and do it in a standard set. And if they can, they'll use the opportunity to reprint. You see, that's where they can get the reprints of Marnius Calgar. It's like a 30 quid card now.
We'll see how that works when the Hobbit comes out, because we'll see if there are actually any reprints in the Hobbit, or if it is just new cards.
I imagine there will be. It'd be crazy if there weren't, right? Like the One Ring, Delighted Halfling. Good luck getting a hold of an Orcish Bowmasters. You just can't.
Yeah. For less than 30 quid, yeah.
But that's the point. If they do a reprint now, they're not tanking the prices. The prices will dip, and then they'll go right back up again, and there'll be more on the market. And that's what they want. That's what they like. That's the way it should go.
Yeah.
And also, in any universe where they don't oversell it, where they have the ability to come back to it, or universes that will keep generating product. Like, I saw a thing online where someone went, "Oh God, Final Fantasy, they'll never make another set again because they did them all." I go, A, they did them all in the most cavalier way possible. They can go back to them. And B, there'll be more Final Fantasy games. I really wouldn't worry about it.
And they only did the mainline games. There are other games that they didn't even touch upon that they could do. I mean, just going slightly to the right and doing the Distidia stuff and bringing in Chaos and I can't remember what the goddess's name is, but the goddess.
Angel. They're very.
Yeah, bringing them two in, they could do that. My thing with Universe, my big thing, probably my controversial take for Universes Beyond is, and I'm going to go back a little bit here, back to the late 2010s, late 2000s, early 2010s. Back then, the most popular trading card game at that point was Yu-Gi-Oh! Hands down. Absolutely. Pokemon has always been a collector's game. I mean, obviously they do the Pokemon tournaments and things, and people do play the card game, but it has predominantly been a collector's card game. Magic, from my knowledge of it back then, because I used to go to game stores and things, and game store people back then would be like, "Why we're not selling any Magic stuff? Nobody's playing Magic. Everybody's playing Yu-Gi-Oh!" Magic was dying back then.
Yes.
And then Commander happened, and then it started to gain in popularity again. And then Universes Beyond happened, ignoring the fact that Yu-Gi-Oh! In the early 2010s did some really silly stuff that messed the entire game up, Pendulum Summons and Link Monsters.
But they're all out of the new format, aren't they?
The format's still broken at the minute. It's got time to breathe. Anyway, we're not talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! Universes Beyond and Commander have breathed a new life into Magic the Gathering, and I think Universes Beyond is what, this is personal opinion, Universes Beyond is what is keeping the in-universe stuff alive. That,
Yeah.
and obviously the drive
It's
of
definitely-
the dedicated employees to it. Because what they could have done is gone, hey, we've got 7 Magic sets coming out next year. One of them is Reality Fracture, where we're just going to destroy the old world and everything else is going to be Universes Beyond from here on out. And you're not going to get any of that other content because Universes Beyond is what sells. That is a path that they could go down easily.
Well, they won't. There's no way.
They won't, but it is. If Hasbro had anything to do with it, that could be a path that they could have gone down. But I think because of the dedication of the team behind Magic the Gathering, they won't. Yeah. And Universes Beyond is what is keeping them going.
They desperately want it to work, and they want Standard to work desperately, and they're trying everything they can. A lack of focus on the creative is clearly killing it, and the attempt to write novels and to make TV shows is clearly, it's big corporate think. Because I don't mean to sound crass, but the way they can easily fix this problem is by having a writer in from day one on a set. Not difficult to do, not even that expensive, writers are cheap. And they would be able to tell you what they are writing. You'd be able to work out how that's going to fit in with the rest of the narrative of the cards. You could do it, and frankly, you could do it relatively easily. But they don't. And I imagine it's partly to do with the fact that the design team feel like it's their baby and that they can they get to choose what the story is and how it's going to progress. And then a writer comes in and goes, all right, I'll fit something around it, but... And also their choices of writers have been kind of defined a lot by, there's a reason that War of the Spark kind of killed a lot of Magic story dead, because the writer they brought in, less said the better, but sexist ass, decided the gay character needed to fancy the big, strong man. They made some poor choices, which is indicative of a very white, very male office that it was at that time. So you can see how it might need a directional shift in how the story is told to make Magic story work. If they get the TV show off the ground, that's it. That's all it's going to take, because then they have a set universe, they have set characters, they can have those characters appear at different points. The Magic sets that come out can be like, and that's that thing we saw in that episode of that thing over there. And then it will sort of spiral out of control a bit, and a new season of the TV show will bring it all back together again. Easy. And I can imagine that from Hasbro's perspective, that's what they're sitting on, going, that's what's going to make this work. And if it doesn't work after a certain amount of time, we'll start saying things like, more UB is going to sell better, and it's better for the game, and more people are going to play it. And, I mean, if we're reaching the sort of wrap-up point, which I think we are, I think the problem now is that if WotC don't start focusing on making their own universes better, you're right, it will just be UB. And it will stop being UB that's all fantasy, storytelling, or even adjacent. Command Zone went a bit off the deep end going, is it sports cards or the Kardashians? I can't see either of those outside of a very tongue-in-cheek reference point. Because
we've got Dwight from The Office.
But that's a tongue-in-cheek joke. All the cards are Dwight, they're all alters. Dwight holding a shuriken, which is a reference to an episode I can't remember, is a Steel Shaper's gift. That's a joke. The whole thing is a joke. It's a joke between the Magic team and the people who are going to buy the cards because they think it's funny. In the same way that there was a UB set. No, there was a Secret Lair. I can't remember what it was. No, it's gone. But there have been joke. Okay, SpongeBob is a joke set. They didn't try and make a full standard set of SpongeBob because that would have been ridiculous. They made SpongeBob Joda the Unifier. They made SpongeBob the most delightful, happy-go-lucky little sponge that ever lived. The most broken commander they've ever made, that is the most heinous thing to play against, and they know that. They know that. I'm playing SpongeBob. Everyone goes, oh my God. Everyone fucking kill SpongeBob. That's what they did. Gary, his fucking snail, is Toxrill, another toxic, horrifying commander. They knew what they were doing. They knew exactly what they were doing. It's a joke.
Yeah.
And the Dwight one is too. And the Furby one is a joke too. It's a tongue-in-cheek poking fun at how crazy this can be. Compare that to the PlayStation ones, where they've got 5 cards for an individual game, which clearly isn't big enough to work as a UB set, and you can see why they've done it. The ability to go, here's a very cool piece of card design that really works for what it's doing here, and all the cards make sense in context with each other, and they have cool partner with abilities and that sort of thing. You can see why they've done that. That's not a joke. There's not enough here to build a standard set, but we still like this character. It makes sense. We'll have more of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, Magic's story needs to pull itself up, because that's where this focus will go. And frankly, they need to get Hasbro to make the damn movie, because that's also where this will go. And I have no idea if the movie's going to be some kind of animated thing, or like getting, serious actors to actually play these parts. I don't know.
I think animated would be best, because you can get longevity. That's my feeling towards live action and animated anyway, is always you can get longevity out of your
it won't sell
performers.
As well. Animation does not sell as well as live action. Never has, never will.
K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yeah, it's really, really successful and popular in an animated movie segment. That's why.
Oh, at the time of recording this, a new this is kind of off topic, but kind of on topic, kind of proving my point.
Okay.
A new animated film, a new anime has recently come out in the cinemas over in the West. We are the West, yes, we're the West. Called Demon Slayer, The Infinite Castle, blah, 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 blah.
Yes, Demon Slayer's been around for yonks, though, come on.
No, but this film has made $600 million in the worldwide box office. $600 million in the worldwide box office. It's number one at the minute, I think. It's beat out this year Fantastic Four, Superman, the new Superman film, and
it's Japan. Yeah, it's Japan, Josh.
No, but this is worldwide. This is
because
taking
it's
in
Japan.
all of the world.
I mean, that's the other thing here that's kind of relevant. I was like, Final Fantasy sold so well. How did it sell so well? Because it broke Japan, you idiots. Because Japan and China and that part of the world have huge amounts of income that they spend on fan stuff. Where did all the Final Fantasy players come from? Where were they? They were in China and Japan, and they're still there. And they're not playing with other Magic cards. Just to be clear, like there's a huge number of people who bought the Final Fantasy precons and went, there are no other Magic cards.
Can I have more, please?
Exactly. And that's why they've been reprinted a dozen times as well now. Like, we are WotC, and to a certain extent, the entire enfranchised player base swimming in this sea of oh, but what does it all mean? How does it make sense? Oh, I'm sorry, you aren't relevant anymore. And that sucks. But you aren't. In the grand scale of making money, they will make more money making K-pop Demon Hunters and Hatsune Miku than they will making an old block format set that you can play in Standard safely. It's not a thing. We need to start wrapping up, and also let's sort of find a nice sort of thing that encapsulates it all. WotC in the last quarter, according to Seth's video, was 80% of Hasbro's profit margin. The quarter before that, it was 110% of Hasbro's profit margin.
The quarter before that would have been where Final Fantasy was, wouldn't it?
I don't know. I don't quite know where the sets fall and when the money comes in for the set.
Yeah.
Also know that toy companies tend to lose money in January because that's when, all their sales...
Christmas is done, yeah.
Exactly. And 9% of the player base by that poll aren't that fussed, don't hate Universes Beyond. If The Gathering, which tends to be the critically online people who like to talk about Magic a lot like they're the only people who play it, don't start getting in line with the way the company is going and engaging with the way the company is going in ways that aren't just, well, flip the table, I'm not going to engage with Spider-Man because I think it's bad that superheroes are on cards. It will stop being for you more and more and more the more you disengage in that way. If you are there going, but it's not the Magic I know and love, your dollars won't be enough to stop that. Your lack of dollars, I should say, won't be enough to stop that. Telling WotC that you want the in-universe stuff to be better so that more people engage with it will do that. Shutting out 14-year-olds and people of a different ethnicity and race to you because you don't like Spider-Man. Yeah, because you don't like Spider-Man, and putting posts about it on Reddit, they're just not going to engage with you. They're not going to look at you.
Again, biggest comparison that I can put to that going back to it, is Star Wars. Look at the Star Wars is currently in 3 different generations at the moment. You've got the people who love the OG stuff. You've got the people who love the prequels and like the Clone Wars animated series and all that. And then you've got people who like the sequels. And it's very much a case of the people who grew up with Star Wars when it first came out don't like any of the new stuff.
No, I don't. You're right.
but the thing is, and this is the same with Avatar as well, actually, where it went from Avatar: Last Airbender to Legend of Korra.
Yeah.
The product, the IP, is evolving with its newer audiences.
It has to.
It has to stay relevant. If Star Wars just stuck to its old formula and just kept redoing the stories with Luke and Leia, kept retelling them, it would die because there's nothing new to do.
I'm gonna use your point to finish on Star Wars. I think it's a very good point to finish on because, as I mentioned, yes, I like the movies and I read the damn novels. No one read the fucking novels, and I read the novels, which means I now look at all the new stuff and I go, why is that character there? The novels aren't canon, but the novels were canon for so long. Oh God, and. Yeah, I have total disconnect with Legends. I have total disconnect. I struggle with The Mandalorian because I keep making reference to things. I'm like, but I know that's not real. It's not real by the version of events that I know. And I know that I am, quote unquote, the problem. I'm the reason why they can't keep making the same thing over and over again. So they have to start appealing to younger and new people. Therefore, it doesn't matter. It's a shame for my little believies, but it does not matter. And if it means that my kids can engage with it, that matters more. And that's the way you have to approach UB here. And if you're a Magic player who is going, but UB's ruining my game, maybe it is for you. And I'm sorry, but there comes a certain point in everyone's life where you are no longer the target audience. And it hurts when you realize that you're no longer the target audience of the thing that you love. It does.
That happens with everything. I fell out of love with Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I stopped being the target audience for it. So, you know, I've tried going back into it.
Audience. Star Trek for me at the moment, all the new stuff is awful for me.
That's the reverse for me. I like the newer stuff. I'm not too keen on the older stuff anymore. I used to watch the older stuff with my mum growing up, but now I prefer the newer stuff. But everybody has their own entry points into all of these different things, and there are fall-off points as well.
But that doesn't mean I'm going to start saying that it's awful for everyone and you should all not watch it or disengage with it, that it stopped being about the ideals that Star Trek purported to have, and to my mind still does, but this new thing doesn't in any way. That is my personal belief. That's how I feel. But also, it doesn't matter because me not watching it isn't going to stop them from doing it. Me making a shitpost on Reddit isn't going to make them stop doing it. And the old media still exists. Like, if you are a Magic player who is really cross about Universes Beyond, Pre-Modern exists, Legacy exists, go and play those. With the other 70 grognards who can't stand the idea of things growing up.
Or things, not so much growing up, but things evolving with its new audience is more the thing.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, Magic players aren't exactly famous for being the most well together people when it comes to things like change.
I mean, you can say that about a lot of games.
Tory voters, I agree, yes.
About a lot of games out there. Looking at you, Warhammer.
Yeah, of course. Another franchise that really struggles with this problem, and they're trying to find ways through it. I don't think the entirety of content creation shitting all over it because it's what their base wants to hear or for clickbait is good. I'm thrilled that my 11-year-old isn't old enough to watch YouTube.
Yeah.
And that's a great position to be in.
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway, before I shit on more Magic people, and just to be clear, not all of you, just the grognards.
Everybody's entitled to their own opinions and
But it's
have
their
their
opinion and they should keep it to themselves, or if they feel it really, really strongly, they should find a way out of it that doesn't mean making other people feel upset.
or find a way to play it that makes you happy.
Yeah, exactly.
In Command Zone's video, Josh and Rachel mentioned about, it's weird saying Josh. Josh and Rachel mentioned they're surprised that somebody hasn't made a format where Universes Beyond is like a community based one where Universes Beyond is banned.
I'm afraid they did, but it didn't go well. There were Nazis. It was bad.
Oh well. That's why that didn't work then.
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
We're going to wrap up on that note. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. This has come out not in our usual scheduling slot. We normally release videos every 2 weeks. The reason why we did this video mainly is because we spoke about this during our Miles video, which came out last week. And we spoke about it in like the first 10 minutes of that. And we're like, hang on a minute, there's more of this that we could do. We'll talk about this in a full-length video. And then we started seeing other people doing it. And we're like, well, we'll jump on the bandwagon as well and we'll do the same thing. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching. We will return to our normal schedules next week with our next commander. Let us know in the comments down below what your thoughts and feelings are about it. Let's have some healthy, pleasant discussions in the comment sections.
Why are you trying to make the content section of a video good? You know as well as I do that people will rant in the comments. They do. It's what they do. And if you're ranting in the comments right now, yes, I know you're going to, and it's fine. No
It's
one
fine.
will read it.
We'll accept it. We'll thumbs it up and that'll be it. That'll be
Yes,
it.
engage the algorithm.
Thank you very much, everybody. We will see you in our next one. Bye.